we call it the code, all over the hospital, the doctors would come running into the ICU with wide eyes, staring at me as they tried to revive their patient. After a few of those, they stopped asking about the vital sign, and then they came down. And then we started to save the patients. In 1966, I started hearing on the radio about a place called Vietnam, which I'd never heard of before in my life. Our young soldiers were there getting wounded and killed. I realized it was time to go. There was a war on and I was single. I wanted to be a flight nurse, but I was too short. You had to be 5'2", and I was only 5 feet, and I think I'm less than that now. And I couldn't reach the top patient on a C-130. I wasn't tall enough to reach them. So I went to the Navy. I said I wanted to be on a hospital ship. And they said I had to serve in the United States for 2 years first. I was sure the war would be over by then. So I went to the Army recruiter. They said they needed operating room nurses, and they would train me. They also said I could go to college on the GI Bill afterward to get my degree. I was a diploma nurse and did not have a degree. So that sounded good to me. I took my oath in March 1966 at the rank of first lieutenant because I had 6 years of nursing experience. So I went to basic training in May of 1966, and then I went to the 5-month operating room nurse course at Letterman General Hospital for City of San Francisco, which does not exist anymore. It's not even there anymore. The first day, I went to look for where this operating room was so I could see where I needed to go for the training. I had to walk down a long corridor that was lined with soldier patients in dark blue Army medical pajamas, all in wheelchairs. This is 1966, May 1966. Many of them were amputees. As I walked down that corridor, I could feel their eyes boring into me as I went down that corridor. From that experience, I knew I would need to do something different. So I planned to leave an hour early the next day so I had time to meet these young guys. It turned out I needed more time, so I found out I actually needed 90 minutes, leave early, 90 minutes early. I got to know the guys and what happened to them, and I kept hearing their stories of what they were going through, and especially how painful it was for them to toughen the skin on their stumps to be able to walk on their prosthesis. One of the stories that impacted me the most was a 19-year-old guy with red hair and blue eyes, we'll call Red, who told me that a 9-year-old Vietnamese girl who threw a grenade into the back of the truck he was riding in blew off his legs. It's unfathomable. What happened in Vietnam was unfathomable. I mean, can you imagine kids were taught how to pull the pin and throw grenades. It was a kids' war in so many ways. I'm sorry, I'm off script already. So the kids, like the Vietnamese youngsters that I met, there were ARVNs, Army of the Republic of Vietnam. They were 13 to 16 years old. Our guys were 19 years old. So as far as I'm concerned, it was a kids' war. So Red lost both of his legs from the knee down. It turned out that he was asked to be the best man at his buddy's wedding. He asked if I would come to physical therapy and help him. I agreed. And I actually supported all the guys in PT at the time that I was there. They needed encouragement and support to bear the pain to keep going. Our feet are designed to hold our weight as we stand and walk, but the tissues above and below our knee are not. They're not designed for that, so they have to adapt and toughen them up. That's the work that these guys were doing in physical therapy. And I would be there to support and cheer them on when I was off duty. So the wedding for Red's buddy was taking place before I left on my leave prior to going to Vietnam. Red felt ready. His buddies lifted he and his wheelchair up 3 flights of narrow steps to the San Francisco apartment where the wedding was being held. I sat on his left, another buddy was on his right, and when the time came for his part in the ceremony, his buddy and I helped him stand up and secure his balance on his artificial legs. Once he had his balance, we let go. Red stood there in his Class A uniform, proud of himself, sweat pouring off him as he worked so hard to simply stand straight on those new legs to be the best man that he could be. I left from Travis Air Force Base to Vietnam January 16, 1967. I was part of a plane load of nurses headed to war. There were 200 of us, all in our summer uniforms, short sleeve cords with skirts. We flew to Alaska first, where the temperature was 11 degrees, all of us shivering in the unheated hangar, and then again in Japan, where it was 21 degrees. I guess they wanted us to cool off before we headed to the heat of Vietnam and the war. I don't know, but we were all shivering. We landed at Benoit Air Base, where we were hit with 110 degree heat, so we went from 11 degrees to 110 degrees. And the heat and smells of the war and Vietnam. I lived with the familiar smells of Vietnam, the earth, sweat, firepower, the burning shit pots, remember guys? Every day for 365 days. The Air Force put on a show for us with their fighter jets over our heads. When the show was over, we were ordered to get our duffel bags and head for the OD green, olive drab green buses that would take us to the 90th Replacement Battalion. So imagine, if you will, 200 OD green duffel bags, all the same, except for a few smart enough to put a colored ribbon on theirs. I wasn't one of those. So I was sweating through my uniform, looking for my bags, looking through all the bags to find mine. I was one of the last nurses to find my bag and drag it over to the bus. I got to the bus and I noticed this heavy, twisted, crisscross wire all over the windows of the bus. I'd never seen anything like that before. So I asked the bus driver, "What's with the wires on the windows?" He told me, "It's to keep the grenades out, ma'am. This is a war zone." Okay, so I got told. The bunkhouse at the 90th Replacement Battalion had its rats running all around, and I learned quickly that was part of the Vietnam experience, to deal with rats. At the 90th Replacement Battalion, we learned all about the culture, money, our address for mailing, and the protocols there. We also met with the chief nurse of Vietnam, Colonel Anna Mae Hayes. We were all given our assignments before we headed over to Vietnam, but we were also told they might change, and change they did. So I'd been assigned to the 71st Evac Hospital at Pleiku, but I learned it wasn't built yet. So I was reassigned to the 67th Evac at Quy Nhon. It was on the South China Sea, where they took care of mostly civilians. I did not have time to think about that, because I saw a young nurse. I say young because I was one of the older ones. I was 26. She was 20. So this young nurse was distraught. She was literally crying and sobbing, could hardly talk, and no one was with her. She was by herself amongst all these people. And so I went over to see if I could help. First, I had to calm her down so she could speak. When she could speak, she answered my question about why she was crying. It turns out she was assigned to the 12th Evac Hospital in Coochie, and she must have known something about it because she continued to cry and sob. I next asked her what was her military occupational specialty, MOS. It was the same as mine, operating room nurse. So I grabbed her hand and I told her to come with me, and I took her over to the chief nurse, and the chief nurse could see how distraught she was and listened to me describe what was happening and the details. I told the colonel that this young nurse and I have the same MOS and suggested that our assignments be switched so she could go to Quignon where it was safer, and I would go to the 12th Evac. I wanted to be where I could serve my brother soldiers best, and so our assignments were switched. I was happy, and the young nurse was relieved. That night in the officers' club, I saw my old drill sergeants from basic training. They were dust-off helicopter pilots, and I never knew that when I was in basic training. But they were there. I sat down to have a beer with them, and they asked me where I was going. When I told them the 12th Evac, they turned white. They looked at each other, and they said, "That's the worst place you could go. See if you can change it." I told them about the switch that I made, and they said in unison, "Keep your head down, girl, all the time." The next day I was taken by helicopters to the 12th Evac, where my duffel bag and footlocker were sent by truck. I had never seen a helicopter before, and this one was OD green. It had no doors on it, and I was shocked as I looked at it. No doors, and inside no seatbelts. What's going to keep me from falling out? That was my question. I climbed up inside, and I felt none too comfortable in the little nylon seat with no seatbelt. The chopper took off upward, and then it flew low over the treetops. I was mostly afraid of falling out, but then on the way, I realized that I could be shot at. Nonetheless, I felt very vulnerable, and that describes my situation for the coming year. When we arrived at the 12th, the chopper crew would not land on the helipad. They hovered over it for the longest moments as I kept yelling to them, "Put this thing down," and pointing down. But no matter how much I screamed and pointed, they shook their heads no. I realized I would have to jump. So I bent my knees a few times, and I finally jumped out onto the tarmac. It was hard ground underneath the covering. I felt the sting go all the way up my legs and my spine. They were already flying off. Nobody wanted to be in Coochie. It was the worst place you could ever be, is what I was told. So they're flying off, and I yelled, "Where do I go?" They pointed at the headquarters building. All I could see was desolation. There were no trees, there was nothing but dirt and funny buildings. I learned later that those were Quonset huts. I walked over to the headquarters building with my baritone ukulele case because I knew I would have to have some kind of music over there, and at the time I was playing baritone ukulele, so I brought it with me. Inside, I was taken to the executive officer in charge. I put down my ukulele case with my ukulele in it, and I said, "Lieutenant Blum, reporting for duty, sir." He looked very strack. His fatigues looked like he'd ironed them. In my whole year in Vietnam, I never encountered anyone who looked as strack as this guy. He pointed at my ukulele case and asked, "What's in there?" Well, you can imagine the tension at that point was so thick, I had to say something to undo that tension. So I said, "It's a machine gun. I thought I might need it over here." So this is not the kind of guy that you want to joke with. He spent about 15 minutes yelling at me and telling me how insubordinate I was. When he was done, he sent me to the chief nurse of the hospital. Her name was Molly Cicercia. She was wonderful. She greeted me and told me to get my personal space set up because once I started to work, I'd never have time to do anything. She was right. I talked to everyone around to learn how to set up my space. The only thing in it was a bed and a mattress. That was it. It was a space like all the rest that had bamboo netting on each side, hanging beads over the doorway, and then the outside wall of the hooch was just wood. When my Foot Locker came, I would have that, but nothing else. I learned how to scrounge. I found nails, wood, a piece of masonite, and I began to envision a set of shelves and how to put them all together to hold food items and pictures. Somehow, I managed to do that without ever having done that before. I mean, I know what shelves look like, right? So I should be able to figure out how to put it together. And I finally did. Those shelves lasted me the whole year, and I passed them on to my replacement when I left. So we had mass casualties regularly, and we were the largest user of fresh blood in all of Vietnam during 1967. My first mortar attack came in February 1967. I was in our shower, and I heard this loud whistle, and then a thud, and an explosion. I was not sure what it was, because I'd only been there a few weeks. But a soldier showed up, and he was wearing a flak jacket, a helmet, had a rifle in his hand, and he was shouting, "Go to the bunker, we're being mortared!" We had no real pressure in our water. It was from a 5-gallon tank on top of the hooch, just worked down by gravity. I had been wet and soaked up when the soldier showed up. I was trying to rinse off when he escalated and shouted, "If you don't go to the bunker, I'll have to carry you there." Our shower is made of wood on 2 sides and the outside wall, but nothing in front. It's wide open because, we're in Vietnam in a war. So here's this guy in front of me looking at my naked body full of soap. I turned the water off. I actually had it on because I was trying to rinse off, and so I turned it off, and I heard another whistle, thud, and explosion when I turned it off. So I put on my little short robe that barely covered me. It was about like this, maybe a little longer. And I went slipping and sliding through the hooch because I'm all soaked up. I was momentarily blinded when I went outside the hooch into the hot sun. And then again, when I ducked down into the bunker. I had never even seen the bunker before. So as I did get dipped down in there, somebody grabbed my hand to guide me, knowing that I was blinded. I sat on the little wooden bench when my eyes adjusted into the dark bunker, and I saw my chief nurse. She was in her flak jacket and helmet. Nurses were there in this bunker, all wearing various kinds of clothing, including fatigues and muumuus. Remember muumuus? No sooner had I looked around in this bunker when a breathless soldier poked his head into the bunker and told my chief nurse, "We need Lieutenant Blum in the OR right now." So I looked over at Major Douglas, and she nodded for me to go. I went back to the shower to rinse off the soap, and now I had mud on my feet and legs from the bunker. I tried to dry myself off while hurrying to get into my fatigues and boots. Do you know how hard it is to get into clothes when your body is damp? And it's that much harder for their fatigues and boots. So I ran a zigzag course over to the OR, thinking that was safer for me, because the mortars are falling all around. I see them, I feel them, I hear them. But I have to get to the OR, that's my job, so I just ran this zigzag course. All the guys around me were yelling, "Put on your flak jacket and helmet!" But I can run faster without them, so I didn't wear them, because the flak jacket adds about 30 pounds. So once I started working the next day, we had a steady flow of casualties. and sometimes mass casualties, 50 or more at a time. What we did was remove shrapnel from all over their bodies and then sew up their wounds, whether they were on their face, their head, their chest, their abdomen, their arms, their legs, wherever they were, and most of them had them all over their bodies. Because of where we were and the numbers of casualties, we could not keep any of them for more than 5 to 7 days. So we were the 12th evacuation hospital, but we functioned as a surgical hospital. We were there to support the 25th Infantry Division and sometimes the 1st Infantry Division. It was a year like no other, and the memories live on in me.
I'm the pitch guy, meaning I'm gonna do the sales pitch now, okay? So here's the sales pitch. We are honored to have everybody here, and we like to take the opportunity, if we can, to take up a collection for a good cause. And the best cause that we have, that we would like to donate to any monies that we get today is everything collected tonight will go to the Middle East Children's Alliance, MECA, of which our next speaker is the executive director. They do great work. They do direct work with people in Palestine on the ground to provide all sorts of aid. So we're going to be passing our buckets. Roger.
Us to break the vicious cycle. Blessings to the peacemakers, especially the peacemakers who have personally, directly experienced the agonies of war and therefore devote themselves to making peace. Blessed are the peacemakers.
is as the executive director of the Middle East Children's Alliance, which is a beautiful organization that helps thousands in Palestine. And most importantly, he's a cherished, dear friend to many. And please give Zeiad a warm welcome.
مساء الخير. بس بحب ابدا بالعربي دائما انا يعني. Don't worry, I'm not going to speak in Arabic till
Do it.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
And my mom told me all the time, be proud of who you are and be proud of your language, etc. So I start all the time with Arabic language. Good evening. مساء الخير means good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And of course, by the way you speak about who I am, I'm not running any election board. So the bio, it's not that, does not make any sense. The most important sense for me means the fact I live with all my life that I am a Palestinian refugee. Like many Palestinians everywhere, scattered all over the world. And I would like to thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I know it's very cold in Milwaukee, and I was shocked yesterday when I arrived, but still it's worth it to see you. You see your wife, Andrea, meet Annalise and Ben. It means a lot. And thank you for this opportunity to meet with our community here, the Palestinian community. Last night I had a good time in Haytham House and his wife, and I met with many other Palestinians. And while I'm down here, I met some of our supporters too, as MECA. We have some supporters, MECA Middle Eastern Alliance. So before I start, I would like to thank you for all the work you do here and for your solidarity with Palestine and through your support for us as MECA. Can I ask you for a favor before I start? Turn the light off a little bit so we focus on the the light. I think it's in the corner, right there. You can play with it, just in the front, it's okay. Okay, for us, I know your day, you speak about peace, I can hear, actually just in the front, if you do the front, it's nice. You speak about peace. I was born and grew up all the time listening about peace. I don't know what it means, to be honest with you. I have no clue what it means, peace. I know very well what it means, war and injustice. And this is the fact that we are living with. And I want to say, we Palestinians these days, and I can speak on most of the Palestinians, that we are facing accumulation of trauma. We never treated ourselves since over 77 years, from a trauma to other one. And generation by generation, we inherited that as Palestinians in general. And I know the world, recently they speak about the genocide, like the genocide started only after September 11, after October 7. I'm still thinking about September 11 and what happened to the world after too. And for us, this is the moment, it's ongoing genocide. I know you heard in the news ceasefire, right? There is a ceasefire, but actually it does not make any sense. Because this ceasefire is only for the news and for all the ceremonies they have. People in Gaza, they are still facing ongoing genocide. People, they are still dying and killed by the Israelis until today. And people in the West Bank, they are forgotten. Day by day, still they are facing the Israeli settlers. They are attacking Palestinian farmers. And today, actually, in the news, in the village called Beit Lid, where they set fire in houses and in their farms and destroyed a lot of stuff. And Palestinians, they were injured. That this, what they speak about ceasefire, does not make any sense anymore for us. The only thing, maybe they slow the bombing, but the impact of 2 years of ongoing genocide is still impact the life of the people, and people, they are losing their life inside Gaza. So, what I want to share with you right now is part who I am as a story, but the same story for most of Palestinian people. So to know about me, when I say the most important part for me, that I am a Palestinian refugee, and this is the fact I'm living with. I'm sharing with you, this is a photo, black and white. Actually, this is my village, Zakaria village, in 1929. And I want you to think about, to look on the top of the hills, actually. Later, I'm coming back to the village. My family uprooted from this village in October 1948. My dad, my mom, my sister, she was 2 years old. My brother, he was 2 weeks old. In 1948, in October, and they moved to a refugee camp. It's called the Hesha refugee camp. This is the refugee camp in the end of 1948, beginning of 1949. Our tent actually My family tent actually out of the photo here. And people, they were living in the refugee camp. My family, they were living there. Later, the people, they moved to live in small rooms. I was born in 1964. I was born in one of these kind of rooms, like this. My name is Zeiad, and I know all the time we say this. We Palestinian, we Arab, we have a meaning of our names. Zeiad means extra, additional. And I am the youngest one in my family, and according to my mom, I came by mistake. She didn't plan to have a child. So they called me Zeiad. I was born in one of these kind of rooms. Actually, I have 2 brothers, 2 sisters, and my 2 parents. So we were 7 people living in 81 square feet. And I grew up there. Now, this is not just my story. This is the story on that period. Over 750,000 Palestinians, they were uprooted from 531 villages in 1948. And when we speak about the genocide in Gaza, we need to go back. This genocide did not start in October 7th. It was started long time before, in 77 years ago, actually, I can say. And it's documented. And one of the famous writers actually wrote about this. There's an Israeli scholar, and his parents actually Holocaust survivors. He wrote a famous book called The Ethnic Cleansing of Palestine. Ilan Babé. Anyone familiar with Ilan Babé? He's one of the, I recommend this book to read about what happened in 1948. And what we are going through these days started even before 1948 against the Palestinians. So this is part of how the story of Palestinian refugees. I was born in this refugee camp actually, and you can see this is my refugee camp. My mom, she used to carry the water like this every day. I know these streets very well. I grew up there, and you speak about healings, you sing about healings, and Sarah was speaking about her story. And for us Palestinians, we never had the opportunity to heal. But we know the process of healing. And even when I was young and I was a child, like I was almost around 7 years old, in the camp, where you discover certain kind of healings. Not young, the beginning of healings. Like how to feel yourself as a human being. And to be honest with you, it was simple. We were talking about it today, and when I found out we were playing soccer in the streets of the camp, we love soccer in Palestine, not like here American football, with all the respect. And suddenly the military jeep came, disturbed our game, and they started shouting, shooting us, not bullets, they were kicking us out of the streets playing. And we went far, they were children, bit older than me, like they are 8, 9 years, and they were hungry. I was really very hungry, and I feel devastated. And we went far a little bit. I saw the children, they started grabbing stones, and they started throwing at the soldiers. I did like them. I grabbed the stone, and they throw the stone at the soldiers. It was a tiny stone, I was young. And my God, Sarah, I discovered the healing. I felt so proud inside myself. I felt my dignity. And I felt, and this is the moment when the people start to resist, this is the beginning of the healing. The moment you accept the oppression, you will be dreaming about healing. You need to resist and to change. And this is how Palestinians all the time. And for us, like survival, we went through survival phase. And people, they were in this photo actually shared, like all these women, I can say we survived this survival phase immediately after the Nakba. When the people, they were shocked, they were farmers, suddenly they are living in tents. You are every day standing in lines to receive the food. Me, myself, when I was a child, I grew up many years of my life standing on line to receive the food like this in front of United Nations. And this is the most devastating moment, to be standing in line to receive the services. And they come, they take photos of us. And this is like humiliating us. And I want you to remember that. that the issue sometimes it's not about charity. If the people that are here thinking about Palestine, about charity, I will tell them you are wrong. The people they are need to stand for solidarity. And solidarity and charity is different totally. Solidarity where you feel, you believe in the people's struggle, you want to support their cause, and you stand with their rights. It's not just about you are giving food, you stand with this cause, and this is very important. So our parents, they succeed. My mom, she used to carry the water every day like this. And I can say we Palestinian refugees, we were so lucky to have our mothers and our sisters. And Palestinian women, they are the reason why we survived the refuge, especially after the Nakba, the catastrophe. They are the reason that we survived. My mom, she used to carry the water every day on her head. And not only our mothers, like my mom, all the Nakba generation. When I say Nakba, it means the catastrophe generation, 48 generation. They used to carry, struggle every day. Even my mom, when she passed, before she passed away, the doctor, he was explaining to me about my mom's shoulders and the muscles. And when I never realized that, but he was explaining to me in her body while she's in the hospital. And I find out that my mom, if she participated in the World Championship for bodybuilding, she will win.
Yeah, you bet.
And all later opened my eyes, all the generation for these women, the muscles in their head, and their necks, and their shoulders. And not only Palestinian women. Look for all women living in marginalized communities in India, Philippines, in Africa, and now in Sudan, and in many countries where they struggle very hard to protect their family. And these are the moms, I give them credit all the time. And now we give them the credit for Gaza. Moms and women in Gaza, they are taking care of most to protect their families, the most of work to protect their families, to protect their children. Now Palestine, of course, we are jumping from camps. You hear about like the genocide, but actually, I know you are veterans, you are familiar with weapons. These are the weapons actually Israel is using. And not just in October 2023, these are the weapons Israel they are using against Gaza Strip since 2008, 2009. They use different kind of weapons against the Palestinians. And Palestinians all the time is resisting, even our children. And this is not only one poster. You find children all over Palestine, especially with the tanks, in Gaza Strip, in West Bank, and in different parts. In the first Intifada and in the second Intifada, many children, they were growing up with these kind of daily activities challenging the Israeli army. And of course, there are a lot of military orders arresting all these years, targeting the Palestinians in general. I'm going fast with my slides. And the same images. This is in my refugee camp, actually. I know this child. He was in prison many times. And of course, Palestinian children, they are arrested and they are tortured. And including our young girls too. It's not just around only our boys. The struggle is Palestinian in general, men and women, teenagers, girls and boys. I know this is a famous face. Maybe some of you know her, Ahad Tamimi, she is very well known. But no one knows the other girls, and many, many hundreds of other girls. They are arrested and tortured. And of course, our children, as you see, these kind of images. And sometimes when you look at these children, this is actually for us how we grew up. This is part of my reality too. And part of the reality of Palestinian children in Gaza Strip before 1993 and in West Bank until today, in East Jerusalem, and even in 1948. And sometimes when you look to these kind of images, you think, look about these children, poor children, they are very traumatized. But I want to share with you something. Sometimes when I look at these kind of photos, I look, oh my God, why all these soldiers, they are scared from this child? You see the photo, you see the slide in different way. Who's scared here? Of course the child is traumatized, but actually look how many soldiers there are. Just to grab one child, and you feel how much they are threatened by this child. You see it from different angles. Anyway, I'm sharing this, just want to say that the genocide is not something surprise, it was happening, but the world, they were blind. They don't want to take care. And sometimes the Palestinian people, they refer to that slow genocide. It's happening in slow way, where the international community, they are not taking care or not looking at it. And of course, just want to remind you, Israel is the only country in the world charging children, military court, children under the age 18 years, 500 to 700 children every year in a military court. And now it's Gaza. And Gaza, I said, it was started 2008, 2009. And Gaza, the people, the world, they forget that Gaza under siege since 2007. And siege and the blockade, whatever you call it, it means that all the people in Gaza actually in jail, living there. And of course, they attacked Gaza in 2008, 2009, they attacked Gaza in 2012, they attacked Gaza in 2014, they attacked Gaza in 2018, they attacked Gaza in 2021, they attacked Gaza in May 2023, and of course, October came and they continue until now. I'm saying this just want to remind the people that the people in Gaza, they were behind the siege, behind the blockade, and they were under attack all the time. And of course, all the weapons they are getting, most of these weapons coming from the United States. I don't want to remind you, right? This is what they are using there. And they are bombing and they are killing the people there. And people, of course, they went through in 2008, all these kind of years, shelters. And while I'm not speaking about my work yet, but this is the reality that it's happening in Gaza. But these are some of the shelters that the people they are, this woman is screaming to the international community. Look what happened to us. And I want to go back to take you back to the history again. These are, look to these two photos, one black and white. You remember this photo? And this photos. This is 1948. This is 2024. And I want you to think about this kind of slides I'm sharing. This bus is taking the people to Gaza. This people, refugees, 1948. I want you to look here. And there, does this remind you, this is 1948? Yeah. This is not far from the Holocaust. Only a few years after the Holocaust. And this is the photo 2024. Now the connection between the two photos, two things. Many things, but for me, the most important two things. These two photos took by Israeli soldiers. They are the resource for the two photos. The one in 1948, I got it when I was working as a journalist in Palestine. When Israel celebrated 50 years in 1998, they did the big mistake, they opened the archive. Because they are celebrating, and we find this kind of photo, we collect it. The second photo is, the second connection, the people in this bus here, they moved, uprooted, and they threw them in Gaza. The people here in this truck in 2024, maybe they are the children of these or the grandchildren of these people in these buses. And when we say it's ongoing genocide, it's very clear. Just we want to make it, it's very clear. This is how they harass and they torture the Palestinian. And I'm sharing with you today, I don't know how many of you saw that or heard, there is a new report came out today about the rape stories happen for the people in Gaza, about women and men documented their own story after they were released from Israeli jails. I'm a Palestinian, I was reading, I couldn't finish it. I couldn't. Because it's detailed how they are tortured. And this is something is going on still. we have over 13,000 Palestinians still inside Israeli jail. And these are the same, 1948, this is now. And all these photos by Israeli soldiers. Israeli soldiers, they were bragging in the social media, publishing these photos. And of course, despite all of this, sometimes we say in our work, part of our job in MKE Middle East Alliance to support the steadfastness of Palestinian people, supporting their political rights, supporting their struggle, and the second thing, protecting their dignity. And in meaning, I say that, protecting their dignity because I'm a Palestinian. But people, they are in solidarity with us, they say to respect the Palestinian dignity. And in every process we are doing in our work. Palestinian people all the time try to, when I say sumud, no matter what will happen, and we saw the people in Gaza. They bomb their houses, they are displaced, they move. The moment they are ceasefire or possibility, they return back like a river going back. Even they know their houses, they are already destroyed. Anyway, I'm working in an organization that started 37 years ago. It's called MKE Middle East Children's Alliance. And I used, when I was a refugee in the refugee camp, living in the refugee camp until 2008, I used to submit the proposals to MKE to fund our projects. And this is how we build this kind of connection with the founder and with the people there. And this is something just I want to introduce it before we go to Gaza about our work. The sound on, right? Yes. Yeah, okay. This is some videos they can give you an idea what we are doing. My colleague, we have 15 staff members working in Gaza, 3 in West Bank, and 11 they are working in Berkeley. But some of the work you saw, but this is about Gaza Strip. Just want to remind the people that Gaza is a very tiny area, 139 squares, 2.3 million they are living there. Most of the people in Gaza, they are living below, actually over 50%. They are really less than 18 years old. I don't know, Howard Zinn, you know Howard Zinn, one time he said, every war is a war against children. And what's going on in Gaza, it's the majority of the people, they are children. I'm going fast, this is some of the photos, how Gaza is distributed, how Israel is controlling Gaza right now. All of the others is controlled by the Israeli military. And of course, the people of Gaza, they took a stand. I don't know how much you know about the Great March of Britain, 2018, 2019, every Friday, and thousands of people, tens of thousands, they go marching, try to send a message to the people, we are under the siege. We need you to take a stand to end this, what we are going through. And of course, 2 years of genocide. And these are the statistics, and it's very hard. It's not just numbers. We passed 69,000 people that are already killed. 170,000 people that are already over. They are injured. You have over 20,000 children that are killed. And there are many people that are missing, minimum 10,000. We don't know where are they. The same, the mass starvation is used as a weapon. I'm sharing this slide to just let you see how many trucks. It's very long. The problem is people in Gaza Strip, they are dying from mass starvation. Children, they are not able to access milk. Women, they are not able to produce milk. And the milk, the things, the food, it's less than 10 miles far from them. This is the tragedy. Where people they are, and this is the new kind of fascism. It's everything is closed, but you are not allowed because who you are. And this is about Mecca, leave it. We still do more work. I'm not marketing Mecca to you, just want to explain something. Like this is another video, I will skip it because the timing, it's okay, I won't skip it. This is something about the other services we are doing. Very quick, if you go to our website, you can see how many meals every day we distribute and how many liters of water, how many hygiene kits. We keep the record working there. And I want to give the credit to the people inside Gaza, not for us as Mecca here in Berkeley. And people of Gaza, not just our staff. The people of Gaza, they are very, very creative people. Even they are going through what they are through, they are very creative, they take their own initiative, and we support their own initiative. Most of this work is coming from them. They take their own initiatives, they take the risk, and they do the work inside on the ground. Even, this is one time we asked the women what we need from us, and they said, we don't have a privacy as women to use bathrooms. And we start building bathrooms in that place. And it's movable. When the people, they move, we move them for them. Water, it's a huge problem in Gaza. And I want to close with this video.
خش علينا البحر اخذ فراشنا وكسر خيامنا.
من كتر ما كان الموج عالي وبدهم فكانت يعني الموجة كانت رح تاخذ هاي بنتي.
Mecca, in coordination with its local partner Al-Fajr Youth Association and other partners, relocated and sheltered more than 1,300 families as the first phase. We installed over 210 latrines, including latrines that are specialized for people with disabilities. Also, we distribute daily hot meals in addition to clean water, winter clothes, blankets, mattresses, and food parcels.
say Gaza exposed the world, like the value of the human being, the double standard. At the same time, Gaza wake up the solidarity movement in the world and the fight for social justice, not just for Palestine, for many other issues. And right now, it's not just about Palestine. I feel it in the streets of the United States, where Palestine is connected to the immigration, to many other causes now happening here. And we saw how the changes it's happening. And there are new generation is happening, coming now in the United States, including Palestinian young generation. They are not scared. And this movement, I can say, it's growing up, and growing up in a very strong way. And we are so lucky to have amazing young Palestinian women leading this movement right now in the ground. And this is one of the photos, like how the solidarity movement is expanding, including Milwaukee. This is the reason why I am not here, because this movement is working and it's spreading everywhere. And just I want to show, oh, this is like a river of the people when they return back to Gaza all the time. I want to take you back to my village very quick. Look how Israel tried to change. This is my village right now. How they implant trees to erase our roots as Palestinians. And they are living there, but in fact, we are like Palestinians living in refugee camp. This is my mom village, it's nature reserve. And no one is living there. And actually, I went there. This is the first step of my grandparents' house. Now I want to say, and closing with this, it's my personal story connected to Palestine, but it's most Palestinian people's stories like this. My mom in 1948, when she left the house, she closed the house with the key. My mom, she passed away. I had the key with me in the United States. I know our house is destroyed, but I still have the key. And for me, and for my family, and for most Palestinian refugees, they still have the keys of their destroyed houses. Because this is the key of the peace in the Middle East. I want you are veteran for peace, right? For us Palestinians, these are the keys of the peace in the Middle East. Without right of return for Palestinian refugees, with their number right now, almost 8 million Palestinian refugees, there will never be peace in the Middle East. This is why we need to continue organize, take more action, change this reality, mobilize, educate, and organize locally and nationally to stop. Because if we want to stop what's going on inside Palestine, we need to change the reality here in the United States. I will shut up here and thank you again.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Ziad. Thank you, Harvey. Thank you, Holly. Holly will play us out as we end the evening, some background music, and feel free to stay and chat for a short while and visit our endorsers in the back. Thank you very much. Sarah's books are